The Roman Empire was not destroyed by barbarians. This is one of the most repeated myths in history. Rome did not collapse because of enemies beyond its borders, but because of decisions made within its own walls. At the height of its power, Rome appeared invincible. Its armies were unmatched. Its treasury was full. Its laws shaped civilizations. Yet history delivers a harsh truth. Empires are most vulnerable at their peak. Because at the top, no one admits mistakes. No one believes collapse is possible. This video is not about how Rome was conquered. It is about how Rome destroyed itself. At the height of its power, Rome believed it had solved the problem of survival. For centuries, expansion had brought wealth, security, and prestige. Every new conquest seemed to confirm the same idea. Rome grew because it deserved to grow. This belief became dangerous. Because Rome stopped asking a critical question. Not whether it could conquer new lands, but whether it could control them. Expansion was no longer a strategy, it became a habit. Provinces were added faster than systems could adapt. Roads, administrators, governors, and armies were stretched thinner with every new border. On imperial maps, the empire looked magnificent. A single color spreading across continents. But maps hide reality. They do not show how long it took for a message to travel from a distant frontier back to Rome. Weeks turned into months. And by the time an order arrived, the crisis that demanded it had already changed. Power, once based on speed and discipline, began to slow. Rome was still strong, but it was no longer responsive. The center governed lands it could not see, problems it could not feel, and people it could no longer understand. Distance created delay. Delay created autonomy. Local commanders began making decisions on their own. Governors acted in Rome's name, but increasingly in their own interest. The empire did not fracture all at once. It weakened silently. Roman legions were no longer concentrated around the heart of the empire. They were scattered across endless borders, defending lines that kept moving outward. Every new frontier required more soldiers, more supplies, and more money. Yet Rome's resources were not infinite. The empire became too large to defend efficiently, and too complex to manage effectively. Rome did not collapse because it lost its strength. It collapsed because it lost its balance. And an empire without balance does not fall suddenly. It erodes slowly until collapse becomes inevitable. Empires do not collapse only on battlefields. Some collapse quietly, inside their own economy. For centuries, Roman coins were trusted across the known world. From Britain to Egypt, a Roman coin meant stability. It meant authority. It meant power. Merchants accepted it without question. Soldiers fought for it. Taxes were built around it. But as Rome expanded, the cost of empire exploded. More soldiers were needed to guard the borders. More roads had to be built to connect distant lands. More wars had to be fought to keep the empire together. And yet, one thing did not increase: silver. The empire was growing faster than its resources, and Rome faced a choice: raise taxes and risk rebellion, or change the money itself. Rome chose the easier path. The coins remained the same size, they carried the same symbols, the same emperors, but inside, they were different. Silver was slowly removed, replaced with cheaper metals. Less value in every coin. At first, people did not notice. Then prices began to rise. Food became more expensive. Supplies became harder to find. Trust started to disappear. Merchants demanded more coins for the same goods. Soldiers were paid with money that no longer held its worth. Inflation spread through the empire. Confidence collapsed. Rome was still rich on paper. Still vast. Still powerful in appearance. But its economy was hollow. The empire had not run out of land. It had not run out of armies. It had run out of real value. And once trust in money is gone, an empire begins to fall. Long before its walls do. Rome did not fall because it lacked soldiers. It fell because its soldiers stopped belonging to Rome. For centuries, the Roman army was not just a military force. It was an institution. A system built on discipline, hierarchy, and shared identity. A Roman soldier did not fight only for gold. He fought for citizenship. For honor. For the promise that Rome would protect his family. As long as he protected Rome. But as the empire weakened from within, that promise began to fade. Inflation destroyed the value of military wages. Pay arrived late. Or arrived in coins that could no longer buy enough food. Veteran soldiers returned home to nothing. Land grants were delayed or never delivered. Trust between the state and its army eroded. Service stopped being a path to pride. It became a burden. Rome faced a critical decision. Invest in reform. Restore pay, discipline, and loyalty, or find a cheaper solution. Once again, Rome chose the easier path. Foreign mercenaries were recruited in massive numbers. Germans, Goths, Franks, and others, who had no cultural or emotional ties to Rome. They were skilled fighters, but they fought for wages, not for the empire. The composition of the army changed. Latin commands were replaced by foreign tongues. Roman traditions were diluted. Discipline weakened. Training standards fell. Promotion was no longer based on merit, but on politics and personal loyalty. Commanders realized something dangerous. If soldiers followed generals, and generals controlled armies, then power no longer rested in Rome. It rested in the hands of individuals. Generals began to compete for influence. Armies were turned against Rome itself. Civil wars erupted across the empire. Roman soldiers now fought Roman soldiers. Cities were looted by the very forces meant to protect them. Borders were neglected. Enemies advanced while Rome fought itself. The empire still appeared strong. It still had banners, legions, and ranks. But beneath the surface, its military soul was gone. Rome no longer controlled its own army. It rented it. And an empire that rents its power cannot survive for long. When loyalty is sold, betrayal becomes affordable. And from that moment on, Rome's fall was no longer a distant future. It was only a matter of time. Rome did not collapse all at once. It broke apart, piece by piece. As loyalty shifted from the state to individual generals, power followed the armies. Every ambitious commander now knew one thing: control the soldiers, and you control Rome. Civil wars became constant, not between Rome and its enemies, but between Romans themselves. Cities were besieged by Roman armies. Farms were burned by Roman soldiers. Treasuries were emptied to fund Roman wars. Each victory weakened the empire further. Borders were left undefended. While Rome fought itself, outsiders watched and waited. Barbarian tribes no longer feared Rome. They negotiated with it, manipulated it, then invaded it. The Western Empire fractured under the pressure. Authority disappeared. Law collapsed. Order dissolved. Rome still existed in name, but not in function. In the end, there was no final battle, no dramatic last stand, just silence. An empire that once ruled the world faded into history. Not because it was conquered, but because it destroyed itself from within. Empires do not fall only because of enemies at the gates. They fall when the system that holds them together stops working. In Rome, corruption became normal. Offices were bought, not earned. Laws were written for the powerful, not for justice. Governors drained provinces for personal wealth. Taxes crushed the poor while the elite grew richer. Public trust disappeared. The army, once Rome's backbone, changed as well. Citizens no longer filled the ranks. Mercenaries did. They fought for pay, not loyalty. For gold, not for Rome. When money ran short, discipline collapsed. When discipline collapsed, defense failed. Meanwhile, emperors rose and fell at alarming speed. Some ruled for years, others for months, some for days. Assassination replaced succession. Stability vanished. Rome still had walls, still had legions, still had history. But it no longer had unity, and without unity, power is an illusion. The empire was standing, but it was already empty. Rome did not fall in a single moment. There was no final scream, no sudden collapse. What remained was exhaustion. Cities slowly emptied. Trade routes faded into silence. Roads that once carried armies and ideas carried only dust. The empire that had connected continents could no longer hold itself together. Power drifted away from the center. Authority became local. Law became optional. Order became survival. In the West, Rome did not lose a decisive battle. It simply stopped functioning. Officials stopped obeying. Soldiers stopped defending. Citizens stopped believing. Not conquered. Not overthrown. Abandoned. Generations passed among ruins. They no longer understood. Temples became shelters. Forums became quarries. Stone outlived power. Walls outlived emperors. History outlived Rome. What collapsed was not architecture, but trust. Empires do not die when they are defeated. They die when their systems fail. When loyalty fractures. When unity disappears. Rome's fall was not an ending. It was a warning. Because every empire believes it is eternal. Until one day. It isn't.